Hi, it's Jo and Steve from Freshagenda. We're here for our almost weekly take, Steve.
We are. We've had a pause, but we've got some, a number of things to talk about this week. So
EU production, we've had a bit of an improvement in EU production for the month of July.
Yeah, edging up after a couple of flat months. And we think the most interesting thing here is not just about milk volume, but the solids rising. So fat and protein, as you can see in that nice chart that Vuko has pulled out from the Eurostat data, that for the last couple of months, the fat and protein has been rising much faster than the milk volume. So we should be looking behind the headline number. But what that gives us some interesting numbers in terms of what's happening to product. So at the same time, they released output numbers for products, which show they're concentrating on cheese production, which has been the story for a while.
Sure.
But also butter volume has lifted in the month of July. Year to date, they're up 2.5% almost. But the chart there shows us the interesting analysis of where it's growing.
Sure.
So where the milk is growing, that's where the butter's coming from.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense, but a little surplus milk perhaps.
Yeah.
Right, where cheese is not so much under pressure.
So skim rose too?
Skim has been flat in the last.
That's interesting.
Yeah, weird. Okay, so and whole milk output is also starting to lift.
Yeah.
So some interesting numbers. It is Eurostat data after all, so it's probably far from perfect.
Watch this space. So next we're going to flip over to the US and talk a little bit about cheese prices there.
Yeah, the market's lost its mind in recent weeks.
It's our analysis.
It's a technical analysis, and we've had to up the scale on these charts to fit them in because we've seen cheddar prices go very high, past $5,000. Losing some momentum last night, losing almost a couple of $100. But acute shortages in the short term of cheddar. We've seen milk down in key production regions. We've seen production of cheddar fall, and some short-term coverage issues. So that's driven the market wild. Futures market doesn't believe this. It's flattened right out, and by the time we get to February and March, we're down. We'll blow $4,000. So this we think is a short-term thing, and the market will continue to come off.
Yeah, and some of our friends, our local analysts, are sort of saying the same thing. It's a 1 to 2 week spike while these shortages are addressed.
Well, the book running in the US is when it crashes.
Yeah.
How long this lasts, how many weeks out we see this. They certainly can't carry these prices into export markets.
No.
So it will start to diminish.
Sure.
Okay. Going to GDT, where we had a pretty positive event last night, the first in 4 that we had the index move up. So in the backdrop, I think it's important to realise that the European fat and skim milk powder markets have started to move up again. We've seen a shortage of skim solids, so skim milk concentrate prices are rising. Butter prices have started to move, and looks like on GD2 we've found some traction as well, because both butter and AMF lifted.
Yes.
AMF not as good in the short term, but certainly some weird stronger prices as we see there in the later periods. But the news was fairly positive.
Sure.
We saw Southeast Asian buyers coming back in the powders, bit of a stronger showing than the previous event. China stepping back a little bit with skim milk powder. But across the board, pretty positive takeaway. Just reminding viewers of the comparison with Europe. While Europe is driving this, we think, European prices lifting, that gives a bit more space for New Zealand prices.
So they've just stepped ahead again of European prices there. Interesting.
Yeah. And then your chart of the week. What have you found for us this week?
The chart of the week, we're flipping back to the EU, where we've had the biggest month of skim milk powder exports ever. So building on some fairly strong growth, as you can see in that period. That's the month-on-month increase in skim milk powder exports. Still going strong, Steve. Better average prices, but still obviously fairly cheap in the eyes of buyers who
And
are continuing to...
That's right, and we've seen, in the detail, we've seen some markets are way below the average. So the average lifted, and it's lifted as we've gone month to month, but there's still some very cheap markets out there buying well below that.
Yeah.
So there's still some of that blended ex-intervention powder getting into the market, and still a little bit to come out yet.
Yeah,
it seems.
It's certainly moving though at these cheaper rates.
That's all from us. We'll hopefully be back from the US next week.